Bad money habits keep you poor. Today we're going to be talking about how having bad money habits keep you living paycheck to paycheck, keep you in the same spot, and they keep you from reaching your financial goals. Let's get into habits that keep you poor. The first habit that keeps you poor is going into avoidable debt. And what do I mean by avoidable debt? Avoidable debt is completely under your control, like credit card debt, for example, buying things that you can't afford with money that you don't have. And it doesn't have to just be credit card debt. It could also be buying a car that you can't afford just so that you can impress people that you don't even like. So buying a car that you can't afford, it's going into unnecessary debt that's going to keep you poor, and it's going to keep you from reaching the goals that you want to achieve. If you want to be wealthy, you can't be using your credit cards for every single purchase and not paying it off at the end of the month. It's just not going to work, and you can't have a nice Tesla or the nicest car on the market because you can't afford that realistically. Have you ever heard the saying, rich people act like they're broke and broke people act like they're rich? So avoid doing that by avoiding debt. And don't get me wrong, there are good types of debt and bad types of debt. Mostly things that are more of a liability than an asset are considered bad debt, and things that are an asset rather than a liability, that is considered good debt. So a house, that's good debt because you're getting equity in the house and it's an asset rather than liability. But that's just one example. Another habit that keeps people poor is impulse purchases. Don't get me wrong, I am definitely a victim of this as well, but buying things because you're bored or you just want it right then and there, that's not a good reason to buy something. You should really think about it for 24 hours, maybe even just a couple hours, and assess if you even want it or if you need it. Just assess if it's going to be worth it. Another habit that keeps people poor is spending more than you earn. I know it kind of sounds like common sense, don't spend more than you make, but it's a lot harder than it sounds because you want to impress people. Even subconsciously, you want to impress people. What are they going to think if I'm driving an older car? Or what are they going to think if I'm renting an apartment rather than having my own house? You need to stop trying to impress people that you don't even like with money that you don't have. I know it sounds kind of aggressive, but it's 100% true. Trying to impress people is its own bad habit in itself because it's only going to hurt you in the long run because you're the one that's spending that money trying to get to that point where people think that you have money. And a big misconception is as your income increases, you do not need to spend more. You actually want to save more or invest more rather than upping your expenses as your income increases, because that's how the wealthy stay wealthy and the poor stay poor, because they increase their expenses rather than investing or putting that money in savings and making your money work for you rather than you just being a slave to your money. And when I say spend less than you earn, I don't mean live frugally. Living frugally is saving every cent anywhere you can. I do recommend living frugally as it can help you reach your financial goals faster, but living frugally is very, very difficult. So I'm not saying live frugally. I'm saying make a budget and stick to it, because if you make a budget, you're not gonna budget more than you make. So as long as you're staying within this budget, then you should be fine and you will be spending less than you make. And I highly recommend having an investing budget, having a saving budget so that you're always saving and you're always investing and you don't have to worry about it. And a quick shout out to my how to make a successful budget video. If you haven't checked that out, you definitely should. If you don't know how to get started, that will definitely help you out. If you already have a budget, it'll still help you out. And I know I've mentioned this quite a few times, but you should also have an emergency fund. What's an emergency fund? An emergency fund is 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. If something were to happen, you could use that. So if you were to lose your job, you'd be able to kind of get back on your feet with 3 to 6 months of leeway rather than scrambling and drowning in debt because you don't have any money saved up. And an emergency fund is separate from your savings account, so you should save for your emergency fund first and then you should start saving if you haven't already. And it's just a good idea to keep these things separate. So keep your emergency fund separate from your savings account just so that you're not tempted to take any money out, because it truly should be for emergencies only. Another very bad habit that keeps people poor is not tracking your spending. This goes hand in hand with making a budget. You need to track your spending and you need to know where all your money is going. You need to determine your needs from your wants and you need to cut expenses. I know that's not what people want to hear, but you need to cut expenses, because if you're spending more than you earn, You need to find out a way to reel it in and spend less money than you're bringing in. Good things to look at first are your cable bill, if you still have a landline, your subscriptions that you don't use. I'm not saying cut out everything that gives you joy, but if you have Netflix, Hulu, YouTube TV, HBO Max, if you have all of those, I'm sure you can cut at least one of them out. So we're about halfway through the video, and the main points we've touched on so far is avoiding debt, avoiding impulse purchases, having a budget, having an emergency fund, and tracking your spending. Please smash that like button if you're enjoying the video so far. It really does help my content reach the people that need to see it, so smash that like and let's get back into it. The next money habit that keeps people poor is saving in just a traditional savings account. Don't get me wrong, saving money is amazing and you should be saving money, but unless you're saving up for something specific like a down payment for a house, a vacation, something very immediate and specific, you should be putting your money in a high yield savings account or even investing it. Saving with intention is good, but saving because of lack of knowledge is not good. If you're saving for something big, like a vacation or a down payment on a house or a car or anything you're saving up for and you'll need the money in the immediate future, then saving in a traditional savings account is perfectly fine. You can also save in a high yield savings account. It just, for short term, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because the interest rates aren't crazy high. Like it wouldn't make that big of a difference, but for long term, it definitely helps if you put your money in a high yield savings account. Like I said, saving with intention is good, but saving because of lack of knowledge is not. What do I mean by lack of knowledge? Just not knowing what else to do with your money. That's not a good reason to just save it. I mean, saving is 100% better than spending it, so you're going in the right direction, but you need to make that money work for you or give your money a purpose, rather than just having it sit in a traditional savings account losing buying power, because inflation is around 2% each year. Sometimes it's even higher than that. And if your money is in a traditional savings account, it's only getting 0.04% interest. So that's not even covering inflation. So you're losing buying power each year by keeping your money in a traditional savings account. But if you are saving for something in the immediate future, then it doesn't make sense to invest it or put it in a high yield savings account because you're not going to see those returns and you might have to pay taxes on that money if you go the investing route and you pull it out soon. So there are reasons to save in a traditional savings account, but I do recommend a high yield savings account because it is just as liquid as a traditional, so you can pull it out. But like I said, short term, you're not going to see the same gains as you would long term. Another bad money habit is not investing in your future. What do I mean by your future? I mean retirement. So you need to have a 401k and you need to have a Roth IRA or just a traditional IRA. You need to be investing in your future. Well, Kelsey, I'm only 25. I don't need to think about retirement. Yes, you do, because each year you could be contributing to your retirement rather than having to scramble when you're 50 trying to figure out how you're going to retire with $30,000 in your retirement account. So you have to think about your future. Get that 401k set up through your employer. Set up an IRA, a Roth IRA if you qualify, and just start thinking about retirement so that you can be ready to retire when the time comes. And you can have a comfortable retirement rather than having to live frugally and be on a budget during retirement. And if you don't save for retirement now, then you may not be able to retire when you want to. So it is definitely something to think about, and you need to start planning it now, not tomorrow, not next year. You need to start it now. Another bad money habit, it may be surprising, but it's not having fun. If you're not somebody who impulse buys, has a whole bunch of debt, but you just save all your money, well, you need to remember to have some fun every once in a while because you are living in the now. You need to make sure you're enjoying life and prioritize experiences over materialistic things. In my budget, I personally set aside money for like fun money. It's not very much, it's less than 5% of my monthly income, but it just gives me a little bit of space so I can go out to dinner maybe once a month, or I can go watch a movie or go do something with my friends for fun. You know, you don't have to be spending a whole bunch of money to do it, but I do like to have just a little bit of money just in case I want to go out to dinner or do something nice. But you definitely need to prioritize having fun as well as saving money. So save money, but also live your life. But live your life kind of frugally. So don't go out and spend hundreds of dollars each month, but you can have a little bit of money in your budget to have fun. Another habit that will keep you poor indefinitely is making excuses. You have much more control over your life than you think you do. If you don't like the way something is now, then change it. Nobody else can change things in your life but you, so don't make excuses and just do it. Do it. But you need to take control and you need to learn how to manage your money. Setting yourself up for financial success is all about building these positive money habits and planning for your future. With that being said, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss next week's video. I will see you guys then.